Namaste everybody for mad-Bhagavad-Gita. And here I'm going to start the class with uh, actually I wasn't going to do this before, but since Lalita madam, I think she had said she was not going to come for the class, and so but she's here. And I'm going to start with the definition of spandana, because last class there was a lot of towards the end of the class there was this heated debate on what spandana is, and Lalita madam had said that spandana is what you experience at Satchitananda, and which I had countered. Now, unfortunately,
Yeah.
I was I was a little aggressive. I'm very sorry about that.
No,
When I saw
no,
the
not at all. In fact, it is quite, I'm curiously and eagerly waiting to hear the explanation. And I'm glad I could attend today. Yeah, we have guests, but they have gone out, so I could attend.
okay, so I'm going to start by singing the first verse of Saundari Lahari, because it's very important. But why am I saying that it is pertinent? Because in this particular verse,
Shiva
um,
Shaktya Yukto Bhavati.
yes. So,
Ah.
uh, so I'm going to just Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shaktah Prabhavitum न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलः स्पन्दितुमपि अतस्त्वामाराध्या हरिहर विरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणन्तुं स्तोतुं वा कथमकृतपुण्यः प्रभवति Now, why is this? Why have I sung this particular thing? The first stanza he says,
Panditum api.
Spanditumapi. That is, Shiva, without Shiva, Shakti cannot function. Without Shakti, Shiva cannot function. Nay, the Shiva's movements, the spandana, that is the ability to generate a reflex or a thought or an action is not possible. The spandana, that is, it does not occur if she is not there. So the key is that it is not something that comes after. See, the thing is that Satchitananda is a regression. That is, I am here, I am going back and merging with the Brahman. Or when I merge with the Brahman, I have reached that stage of Satchitananda. Do you agree with me that much, Lalita madam? That Satchitananda is the merger of the individual with the Brahman, with uh, the overall system of things.
Yeah,
Whereas,
that's the basic nature as such. I mean, though we
correct,
may not recognize it. Yeah.
correct. So the thing is that basic nature is what? Brahman. Okay. Now, if you are going to merge with the Brahman, when you have reached the Brahman, that is Satchitananda. However, here, if you will see the logic which is being used by Adi Shankara in Saundari Lahari, you will say, he says that even to move the spandana, the even spanditum api, that is even the trigger does not come for Shiva if Shakti is not there. So the point I'm making is that spanda is a trigger for action. It is not what you experience when you reach Satchidananda. That is the limited uh,
Yeah.
point
Okay.
I'm making. Okay.
So spandana is the trigger, not the result, kind of.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Are you comfortable now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the point is that here now we are going into the Atma part. In fact,
No. 1 minute, 1 minute. I have
yes.
one more point in that.
Mm,
Also, maybe I didn't make myself more clear that day, but
mm,
also to my mind, the spandana meant the touching, what should we say, the merging or the binding of the two Shaktis, the Shiva
sh-
and Shakti, or whatever in the stotram. And in our practical life, it means the Jiva and Shiva, sort of merging,
yeah.
or
So
one recognizing the all, the everything, the one and all, recognizing and experiencing that. Spandana, the experience comes in totally. So I agree, the trigger is a valid point, but isn't it also the merging point of both the energy?
okay. So in when you practice yoga carefully, there are chakras. One is called Yukta Triveni, where the that is at the Mooladhara. Yukta Triveni is where the Ida, Pingala, and the Sushumna Nadi emerge. And when they meet, it is called Mukta Triveni. That is where it is in union. So it starts, that is what
Mukta
Sri Krishna is
Triveni, and
saying.
what was the first one? What was the
Yuk,
first one? Mukta Triveni
Yukta,
and
Yukta
Yukta
Triveni.
and
And
Mukta. Okay,
uh,
okay, okay.
now the thing is that it's that is what he is talking about. No, it starts, it is unmanifest in the beginning, it is manifest in the middle, and unmanifest in the in the end. That is what he's saying in
Yes,
Samkhya
yes,
Yoga, no, in chapter 2. That is where we
yes.
are. Okay. So the soul is unmanifest. It is part of the Brahman in the beginning. So that is in the Yukta stage. So the Spandana is the only one that gives it that ability to manifest,
Trigger.
the
Yes.
trigger. Then it exists. It experiences Maya. And then it merges back into the Brahman. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, what is it that is the so we need to this, it's very important that we understand what this Spandana is, because what is it do, the entire essence of what we control, and whether we control it at all or it is something that happens by itself, is what is important.
Happens by itself mostly perhaps.
It is what happens by itself. The key is that whenever we are in any null state of null, now today we did not do dhyana, we did not go into meditation because there was no time, there was a lot of discussion of the theory part. If you are sitting quietly, then you will realize that suddenly a thought will come. Now, it is a atemporal vibration. It is a thought that has come, which is why when our senior rishis have said, when the thought comes, don't play with it. The minute you play with it, you begin to build a universe around it. So they say, observe it, observe it. In the physical realm, like for instance, Anand sir is playing with his grandchild. The grandchild is there, Anand sir is here. The question is not whether Anand sir and both are, this is a complete world of Maya. The child says something, it triggers something in Anand sir. The question really is, how, to what extent is the response in constitution with an attachment. You can respond, but you need not be attached. That is the fundamental aspect. So it is unmanifest. So the spandana comes from within. So he feels the from nothing, from the unmanifest, there is a spandana. From the spandana, an identity emerges. Now the question really is, to what extent does that identity, there are two parts. First is the identity itself. From where did that identity come? What was the need for that identity to be in that particular manner? The second is, how does the identity interact with its environment? Correct? Because manifestation means that there it is existing. It is existing for all of us. So where does it come? So here the argument is that the question of Atma. And yesterday there was a fantastic thing by Ramchandran sir about the various types of Atma. And if you will read it carefully, you will realize one thing. All of them go back into the unmanifest. That is the Brahman. So when the when from unmanifest there is a spandana and identity emerges, and the identity is essentially a soul. A soul emerges. Now the soul is by itself. Now it has to find a way for itself. Now let us split this into two parts. One, the soul. If it is a fresh soul, it has not created any karma for itself. So if it is a fresh soul, the first thing that the soul experiences is insecurity. What is this insecurity that it is experiencing? Do I exist? Who am I? So this feeling of insecurity that it experiences now needs to be assuaged. Like I have spoken in one earlier class. Suppose you are going you're walking down the road and you meet an old friend and you say hi, and that friend of yours looks at you like as if you did not exist. Now what will happen to you? You will, I'm sorry to use a Mumbai word called pachka. You will feel deflated. That entire feeling of identity, you have opened your identity and now that identity has been crushed. It will feel that it has come into, it has been deflated. So what it means is that the soul has the ability to go out and come in. But why does it do that? Because it feels insecure. That I need to feel reinforced that I am valuable. For as long as that feeling or the need for value exists, the soul will continuously reach out and engage. For as long as that engagement occurs, the soul has value, it has meaning. So the Atma comes from nothing. It experiences a spandana. It comes out, it manifests. And then it begins to interact with the other person. The minute the it begins to interact, it forms a bond. The first bond is the existential bond. That is, no matter who it is, the identity will hold on to it. Why? Because that identity is the only way the soul will know, the Atma will know that I exist. For instance, you will see that a lot of people will relate in difficult relationships and not break the relationship fundamentally because they do not, there is so much of fear of loss of relevance. Many of those who have retired will experience this. You have worked in a particular job. The minute you have retired and left, you will experience a deep feeling of loss of relevance. That is why Vanaprastha is such a difficult state. Why did they ask us to go into the forest? Because the minute you let go the society, you experience a loss of relevance. This loss of relevance can be killing because you are not used to it. Without that relevance, you are nobody. So what I'm trying to say is that from nothing there is spandana. The soul first seeks an existential bond, and there it will give whatever it can in order to stay in that bond, so that it can assert or build up for itself the feeling that I am, I exist. And this is done as a reflex, because the awareness is still not trying to separate itself from its actions. So it's just holding on to that relationship because it is an existential bond. Then the transactions begin to happen. Somebody will give more, somebody will take more. And this give and take begins to thereafter result in a deficit. Somebody, whenever you take more, you are in debit to the other person or the other entity. When that other person takes more, you are in debit, credit to the other person. So both debit and credit begin to occur in transactions. There is only one place where there is no counting of debit and credit, and that is in the marriage. Vivaha samskara. Vivaha. There is no counting of debit or credit, which is why in the marriage the couple are called ardhangani, because the identity, the Atma begins to fuse. Those that have done Homa will know that when you do the Homa first, you say Atmane Namaha, and when you do Atmane Namaha, you put it on yourself and on your wife. That means the Homa is not being done by the male. The Homa is being done by the composite identity, which is called the Ardhangani. This is something that many people don't understand. They think that it is the man who's doing the Homa. No, the Homa is not being done by the man. Man is just a representation of the composite identity. So, that is why in a marriage it is called samabandhana. And that is why the in-laws in our system are called sambandhi or samdhi. There is no calculation of power in the two entities, and by extension in the families. Now, the other bond which exists is called rinanubandhana. Rina means debt. The bond of debt that occurs is the debt. Suppose you and I are working with each other. We work for a living. We go to a company. The company pays us a salary. We incur a debt to the company. How do we repay the debt to the company? We work. Our parents give us life. So we incur a debt of birth. How do we repay that debt? By doing last rites, by doing tarpan, by doing shraddha, and by doing other things. Our parents look after us when we are small. How do we repay that debt? By looking after them when they are old. When we are small, we are children. When our parents become old, they are children. So there is actually a mirror imaging of life. And so the birth and death, growing up, growing old, these are mirror imaged, and the debt that is incurred is faced off at the other end. Similarly, suppose, so now the thing is that we don't really calculate debt when we actually incur, which is why in our time, our elders would say, do not take loan, because there is a debt that is created. And there are many other things which our elders used to do. Now, of course, many of us, we are not even aware of how they intrinsically understood debt and tried to avoid it. Now, what happens is that when how does this debt actually happen? So there is this Atma, there is the other Atma. When this Atma is holding on to the other Atma, there is a transaction. when the transaction happens, as I said, there is a debt that is created. But how does the debt get created? On what basis does that debt get created? Each of us is born in a particular manner, is brought up in a particular manner. That operating system on which we run our life is called Dharma, because that is the root of the word Dharma is Dhru. Dhru means steady, Dridam. That is where we are most comfortable with ourselves, our natural state. Our natural state is the operating system is given to us by our mother. Dharma, that is why, is held by the female. Now, if you see vivaha, when the Mangalya Dharanam happens and all of that finishes, the boy, the groom, will do the first homa that he does is called Aupasanam. When that fire, who gives the fire for the Aupasanam? It is given by the mother of the bride. From where does that fire come? The fire comes from the hearth of the lady. That is, the bride's mother's cooking fire is the one that provides the fire for the first homa. And that means what? It means that the dharma of the family in which this boy is going to be holding as a home, as his family, that fire, that dharma will be held by the bride. Which is why the female in Bharat is the holder of dharma. The male is the holder of gotra. This is something that we don't consciously understand, but our rishis had thought this through. This is why marriages are held in the girl's home, because the grahi agni, the agni of the house, comes from the mother, and the homa of the family, of the newly married family, will be run by the fire given by the bride's mother. So similarly, that is how we are all conditioned. Our operating system, our ability to be at peace, in balance, is given to us by our mother, then the father. Of course, the father has a contribution in making us who we are, but it is more static. The dynamic component is given by the mother. Now the question really is that we take this, and in all our transactions we apply that conditioning into like and dislike. It is called dvandva or duality. That duality, what it does is that when there is stimulus from the other person, we either like or dislike it. This like and dislike makes what we do thereafter is we push it and pull it. We push the other person away. If we don't like what he is saying or she is saying, we bring the other person close to us if we like or dislike the person. So what happens as a result is that there is a movement relative to each other. This movement is called karma. From karma comes our debt, because there is a bandhana, and that bandhana will start with existential and then move to transactional, and that transaction will be either debit or credit. And of course, if it is a home, if it is between a husband and a wife, then there is no calculation, because it is ardhangani. Now this is the fundamentals on which the Atma is based. The Atma is continuously registering the debt created or to be reconciled. The debit and the credit is going into the Atma. In that forms the basis of identity. The karma that is getting created now is called agami karma. The overall debt or reconciliation journal, what you call the ledger, is sanchita karma, and that which is coming now for dissolution or resolution is called prarabdha karma. This is the overall aspect on which the Bhagavad Gita itself is written, and this is basically how. I mean, of course, Krishna does a lot of hodgepodge here, there, he goes all over the place, but essentially, this is the base on which the whole logic is framed. You start with nothing. From spandana, the Atma is born, it builds a relationship, and that forms Maya. That Maya is the manifest in the middle, and then now we have not yet gone to the how to go into the unmanifest. That is the yoga-vidya part. How do we, so the framework that is built on which the Atma is structured is Dharma. Because that is the Dharma, that is the natural entity of, I mean the natural state of all entities. The nose can only breathe, the eyes can only see, the heart can only pump blood. That is the Dharma of the heart. Now the thing is that the Dharma of the eyes, the heart of a pig cannot be used as a heart, as my heart, not naturally. Of course, if I put anti-blockers and this and that, I might be able to use it, but not naturally. Similarly, my heart cannot be used in you. So the question, the thing is, very importantly, everything has a purpose, everything has a karma, and it comes to fulfill that karma. Now the question really is, to what extent does the Atma exist? To what granularity does it exist? The red blood corpuscle has an Atma. Why do I say that? Because the minute the job is over, that particular thing dies. And we know that in 7 years, every cell in the body is rejuvenated. If karma was not there, then why should that exist at all? It need not, no. You just need to live with one set of blood and one set of muscles and one set of cells. Why do we need to have so many different cells? Because each of these has an Atma, each of this is flowing. Now, the reductio absolutum of that is that this whole body is a complex structure of various Atmas. That means that it is actually changing continuously. So this attachment to the body by itself, by design, is foolish, because it is changing. It is metamorphosing all the time. Then what is it that we are attached to? What is this manifestation that we are attached to? And that is the fundamental question. And how do we distance ourselves from that attachment? So here I am going to stop, and then let us go into a conversation, because I think that will be more beneficial to all of us, including me. Anybody? What happened?
Sir, you have created a Rinanubandha. No, I was just thinking, what have I done to deserve? I mean, how much you are teaching us, sir? I don't know if I deserve it, is what was the first thought I got. So thankful, sir.
No.
No, really, sir. I have not heard like this anywhere.
Does it make sense
before.
to you? Okay, let's start from the beginning. Does it make sense to you?
It does. Actually, sir, the very fact that, Atma, soul, for example, you gave that example of how a friend does not respond to hello and it triggers. That is what is that Atma. Atma is that component. That itself, see, the fact that it is that which is getting inflated or that shrunk when the response is not. So it is basically two Atmas interacting there.
Yes, very true.
That point was very, I don't know, something it struck. strongly. And
So basically, what happens is that I'll go into more details because the first song, the Shiva Shakti Yukto itself, there is a lot of meaning, weight in that particular. I didn't get into that part because that will confuse the whole thing, and that will be going into a lot of granularity. But here, basically, what I wanted to talk about was the Atma, its existence, its manifestation, how does it, and the granularity to which it exists. So I'm only trying to gauge whether you people agree with what I'm saying, whether there is any change I need to make in the way I'm saying it, and whether I'm making any mistakes at all. So please give me feedback. Lalita madam, you are not generally quiet like this.
No, I was waiting to answer, but also because I didn't know how to put it across, so I was keeping quiet. Um, because for me, especially say in that example which it was referred just now also about the friends and all, I it doesn't look that the Atma is as per se involved. It is the aham. It is the mind and the the maya or the whatever that which is at work. It's not the Atma. It is at least that is how I would I have understood that Atma is something beyond, much beyond the senses, much beyond the aham. It is not on this level. It is everything is happening because of Atma. That is true. Everything is it is all because of that. But
Agreed.
It is not the Atma at play directly. It is the mind playing trick. The same thing, I'll give an example. Suppose, now let's forget let's keep aside the friend and let's take a non-living thing like an alarm clock. Okay? We keep the alarm. When it rings and we press and we get up on time, then we are very pleased. We are very happy that we have got up on time. But suppose we press it and go, just 2 minutes, 2 more minutes, I'll rest, and then the 2 minutes becomes 2 hours. Okay? And after, when we finally do get up, what do? Oh my God, how could I have done this? It's a trip of guilt, it's a trip of remorse, everything comes in there, to play. So it is not even a living person, it's an alarm clock which we have set it ourselves. Nobody asked us to do it. But see how our reactions. So what is it doing? What is at play? The mind is at play. Our responses. See, both the times my ear had heard. Both the times it had sent the message, get up. But it's the mind at play, which the tamas takes over.
Okay, here going into guṇa and other things. Now, Lalita madam.
Here, sir, if we can, from Lalita madam's words, what thoughts came in my mind is, in the alarm clock example, we don't blame the alarm clock because it's a non-living thing. Whereas in the case of an interaction with a living thing, simply I'm not negating what you told, ma'am.
Excellent point. I'll come to that. Yes.
No, one moment. So I want to link up a few things here. Just Lalita madam, just 1 minute. I just want to link up a few things. Now the thing is that there is one thing that Lakshmi madam said, which is absolutely correct. It is the Atma which is talking to the Atma. Unfortunately, we don't recognize the Atma. What we recognize is the identity. Okay. Now the thing is that identity is not the manas or the mind, it is the asmitā. Asmitā is I
Yes.
exist. Okay. So the thing is that what is the transactional thing that is happening is between the two asmitas. Now, when you the example you gave, the excellent example of the alarm clock, when you shut it off on time, what is it that feeling of having done is called ahankara. I am the doer. I managed to get up on time. When you are unable to get up on time, that which is feeling bad is also ahankara. I did not do it. So the anger is shown on the alarm clock. You push it away. The act of pushing that alarm clock away is karma. The attachment is to the alarm clock. So the thing is that all of you are right, and at the same time, it is not complete. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but little change, little variation. Like for
Okay.
example, this alarm thing has happened to me many times. So I'm saying from experience. And anytime, if sometimes even before the alarm rings, I get up. So anytime like that, or when on listening, hearing it, I get up. I'm so grateful to my body or whatever, that thing which made me get up. And thankful. There is no ahankara in, I mean, at least I
That
hope
itself
there
is
is no
ahankara.
ahankara.
Lalita
Yeah,
madam, that
possible,
itself is
possible. Yeah.
ahankara.
Yes,
Lalita
okay, yeah.
madam, that itself is ahankara. I am the doer, the
Okay,
feeling
okay.
of doership. What is ahankara?
No,
Ahamkara. I
not
am the
doership.
doer.
It's a gratefulness to some power which is not within me, because there are times when I want to get up. I mean, I am very keen to get up at a certain time, and when it doesn't happen, I know it is not my own. It's the body which makes me, sort of needs the rest, and maybe I succumb to it. But
No,
the point is that the gratefulness comes up. Maybe it is pure ahankara, but the gratefulness comes up to the body and to the Shakti which has woken me up. It is,
so
in fact, I say the shloka, Durge, Smrita, Hari, Si, Bhiti, Mashesh, Janto ho, that, वो उतना क्या बोलते हैं कृतज्ञता भाव से.
that I understand. What I'm trying to say, madam, is not that. The point is that throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna is saying one thing that is very important, and that is that everything that you do, you are responsible for it. Your feeling of gratitude. I'm very sorry to be a little on the other side of the fence. So, from that particular thing, feeling of
No
gratitude is
problem.
all.
Please feel free to say, because one of the best things I enjoy and is that your sessions are so thought provoking. It makes me think. It makes us all think. So I
Okay.
like that. I like to get various viewpoints. That's why not only you, when others also speak, we are so eager to hear what each one is saying, and especially you, sir. So please
Okay.
feel free to, what should we say, blast holes into what I said. Welcome.
Okay. Now the question is, when you say that I feel grateful, that feeling of gratitude in yoga is called swapna avastha. It is something that does not exist, because the question really is, who is responsible for that action? Your Atma is continuously creating debt, it is continuously creating karma. The question really is, my identity, when I feel grateful, I'm incurring a debt. To who? To an identity that does not exist, or it does not, or it exists. You have no way of knowing it, and you have not proven it. And because you haven't proven it, it becomes a dream. It's a dream state. Now this is why where we are different from the Abrahamics. In there you have to believe in the existence of God. There is no argument that God is the creator, preserver, and whatever. There is a heaven, there is a hell, there is duality. In our case, there is no such thing. So in yoga, it's very important that we recognize this part. That to be grateful is great. It's a good starting point. I'm not saying no. But the point is you have to be continuously aware of one thing. That which you're talking about is something that is transient. That is basically what he's talking about in chapter 2. The recognition of the transient nature of existence. The Atma is starting, it's unmanifest, it gets manifested and it becomes unmanifest again. So the existence in the manifested condition is temporary, it is transient. And this is the critical thing that we need to recognize. So when she says that it is the Atma that is talking to each other, she is 100% correct. But
Actually,
because the
sir,
Atma is not recognizing each other, see, when we talk about, now for instance, I am talking to a computer, right? The computer is talking to another computer, and from there you are getting an image. You have never met me. Most of you, no, nobody has met me. The question is that that means that Atma exists. Your Atma exists. I have found no way of recognizing your Atma. It is in a very subtle state. So how do we talk to each other? It is called a protocol. In computer language, it's called a protocol. No, there's handshake has to happen. That is done by language. And then my movement of the body. So you know that I exist. At least you assume that I exist. Now the question really is that what is it that is coming out? It is the asmitā. That is I am. Now Vishwanath is Vishwanath. That's it. But when Vishwanath manifests in a particular manner, he begins to give you some kind of information. Now that particular manifestation again goes back to Shiva Shakti Yukto Yeti Bhavati Shakti. Without Shiva, there is no Shakti. Without Shakti, there is no Shiva. Without my manifestation, the overall composite aspect of Vishwanath does not exist. So the Atma exists and Atma is common for everybody. But that manifestation when it occurs is the asmitā. So when Lakshmi Madam says that it is the Atma, she is talking about ground level. She is talking about basics. The basic principle that all Atmas are the same. But the difference comes in the way the interaction happens, in the way the Atma transacts with each other. And
actually, sir, sorry,
yes.
sir, I am interrupting. Actually, I couldn't complete my sharing my thought earlier. What the thought which came in my mind while hearing the alarm clock thing, it kind of integrated the dharma concept which you taught us just now. What I felt was when, to put it in simple words, if the alarm rings, doesn't ring, even if I don't get up on time, I don't blame the clock because it is a non-living thing. I will somewhere blame only myself, feeling that, oh, I could have got up, or, oh, the alarm clock failed me, but never will I blame the clock directly. However, when the living person does not respond to me, and if my dharma tells me that when I say hello to somebody, the other person should be saying hello if he is a decent person. Let's say I have such a likes dislikes concept which you told. Based on that, if I believe somebody I will like if they respond, here that person has not responded, so it is immediate.
Now let me take you up on that. Look at the number of words you have used. Okay. The interesting thing is that all of this that you have spoken about, your like of a alarm clock, your dislike of an alarm clock, it is all dharma. You have been conditioned to believe that the other person must respond to you. You understand what I'm saying? You have been conditioned to believe that I must not blame the alarm clock. It is an inanimate object.
Oh,
You have
that's
not
also
been.
conditional. Okay.
It is conditioned. You have been
Yes,
conditioned to
sir.
believe that it is right and wrong.
Okay,
But
sir.
you have still, now the thing is that you have a favorite mug in your house. You have a
Hmm.
favorite seat in the car.
Hmm.
You have a favorite dress that you wear. That means it has an Atma, no? So there is an attachment that is created. There is a pull and a push, a raga and a dvesha. If you don't like something, there's dvesha. You push it away. There's karma that is getting created.
Yes, sir.
So you see, the thing is that when the way we think is dharma, it is actually, we go into different, if we peel ourselves like layers of an onion, you will realize there is the stula, that is the gross element that we have, and then there is a subtler element that comes out. But the core element is the Atma. You are 100% correct. The core is the Atma, and all this that is there is actually built up all over the Atma, so that we can transact with each other. The computer is talking to each other ultimately in bits, 0 and 1. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
But we don't see that, no? What do we see? We see this face that this image that is being projected on each other, the audio visual that is coming out. The Atma is that part, that is the core, the one on which the generation of 0 and 1 happens. Everything that is then based on top of that, the building, it's like a machine language that comes out. And we are able to then transact with each other. Now, my computer is of a particular configuration. Your computer is of a particular configuration. Two different configurations. That means your dharma is different, my dharma is different.
Okay, sir. Understood.
Even if we have the same computer, each of us will have different programs in the computer. So the computer, even though it is the same make, it will be different. The dharma has become different.
Correct.
We don't look at it like that, right?
Our dharma, our way is the
Exactly.
feeling we
have
get.
been taught that this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. The duality has been created within us.
True, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes,
So,
yes, sir.
now, unfortunately, I have not been able to progress at all on this particular thing. But I think it's very important that the foundation is made, that is very clear. Now, I'm going to just quickly link up the Yoga Vidya to what we have done today. The Yoga Vidya part is the going back into the unmanifest. Once you have manifested, it is important that just as you have layers of onion over your Atma, you should be able to pierce the layers of onion and merge back into the unmanifest. In Yoga Vidya, what do? We first cleanse the body, make it such that all the kachada is removed. Then the prana, the vayus are moving properly. And thereafter, slowly we begin separation of the, first we begin separating, making our asmitā, our sense of existence, secure within ourselves and not needing external stimulus to feel that we are relevant. That is the first part. Then thereafter, we begin to separate each element within our system so that we begin to slowly begin to merge, or we begin to get into a state where we are comfortable with the idea of going into an unmanifest condition even when we are alive. That is what is moksha. So, while today's Bhagavad Gita class or the Bhagavad Gita class is talking about the foundations and the manifestation, Yoga Vidya takes us from the manifested state to the unmanifested state. The unmanifest element of, so the rising, growth and the dissolution. Yoga teaches us how to go into the dissolution part. So is that understood? Why both are important?
Why both are important, understood, but that part where you said it, Yoga Vidya is for dissolution, that word I'm not able to understand.
Okay. Now, you are comfortable that every cell in your body is being rejuvenated every 7 to 8 years.
Yes.
That means you are dying and being born continuously.
Yes.
Now, if you are if you are dying and being born continuously, the only difference between you and complete death is that there is something inside you that is holding on to this envelope.
Yes.
Now, the thing is that if you can separate that something that is in the envelope from the envelope, what will happen?
What is that?
You have now
Envelope?
accepted this body is your envelope, no?
Yeah.
So there is a you inside you. I exist. So there is an
Hmm.
existence and there is an I.
Hmm.
Now right now you are associating your I with the existence. I exist. Asmitā. Right? I
Hmm.
exist. For as long as asmitā exists, I exist. When the I is separated from exist, what will happen?
Each only the existence equal to I remains.
No, only the body remains. The I is not attached to the body. No, whether the body exists or not, it does not matter. Because the I has already
Ah,
merged with
ah.
the Brahman. The I has already
Okay.
become unmanifest. The I does
Hmm.
not care for the body.
Yeah.
So the point, so in Yoga Vidya, we try to go to that state where we try to look at the body as a tool,
Hmm.
as a tool where we for we separate ourselves and we perform our action without attachment to the outcome of the
Yeah.
attachment. So that is all the chapter 3, chapter 4, all one by one, those will come in. Have you all understood that part? The importance of Yoga Vidya?
Yeah.
Yes,
I
sir.
think.
It is the application of existence. It is the application of dissolution. That the outcome, that the ultimate need for why are we alive? Why am I alive? To answer that question, you have to understand why you need to die and what dies. The transient nature of existence. That is basically what we need to understand. And that practice, see, the thing is that for as long as you apply theory, you will not go anywhere. Theory is only 1%. 99% is the experience. And that experience is individual. That's why it is called pratyaksha. Each person has to experience it himself or herself. And that is what I'm trying to teach in this class, in Yoga Vidya. The theory of what is, how it becomes, is the Bhagavad Gita class. The Yoga Vidya class is the last part. That is how to get away from it. Have you all understood?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any questions? Or is there any feedback? Please give me some feedback if you have any. A lot of people are not talking at all today. Lata madam.
Yes, sir.
Ah, what happened? No feedback.
Sir, actually, the last two classes, I've only been listening to the videos, the recordings.
Hmm.
So actually, I had some doubts in those classes itself. Even
So then
today,
you
when
should
we
ask,
brought up
no?
the topic, when you said about the mobile and all of that, that is the example you always give. For example, a
Hmm.
favorite chair or a favorite dress.
Hmm.
So you're saying that even that has a sense of identity.
Yes.
So that's where I'm not able to really relate to that, because that identity is because of you have an attachment to that, so it doesn't
Correct.
mean that that has an identity.
One
It's
minute.
your attachment to that. No, that doesn't give that item an identity. That's where the I don't understand what you're saying.
Great. So I'm going to start the next class with this particular part. The the Jadam and the Jiva. The Jiva is one that is sentient and the jadam is the one that is insentient, that does not have senses. So, is there a relationship? Is there are they equal? What happens? Does it migrate to one another? That is basically the question that you have?
So yes, sir, that is one question. And the second question is also, I don't recall if it was Lalita or who else it was, but in fact, I agree with them. They said that when you die, you become a part of the Brahman. When you are alive, you are Atman. And then when you die, the minute you die, you become part of Brahman. And you countered that by saying that, then where is that preta and all of that? So that's another thing that, in fact, I agree with Lalita. I don't recall if it was Lalita, but Lalita, I think it was Lalita who said that. I feel that my thought process is in alignment with that of Lalita, because I don't believe in this preta business. I mean, in the sense that I again believe that that is an imagination of us, of ours.
Let me ask you a question here. You use the word believe, right? You use the
Sir?
word believe. You use the word believe.
Yes.
Is believe not an imagination?
No, sir, I didn't get you.
You said you use the word believe. I do not believe.
Yes.
Now, belief itself is an imagination.
Correct,
It's
sir.
an imagination state.
So correct. I mean, so no.
Stay with me. Stay with me.
Mm.
So, if you're saying that belief is an imagination state, the existence or lack of continues to remain in the belief state until you can prove it.
Correct.
So, the question is, if you're saying that the existence of a preta or a pitru, I don't believe, the reality will only occur when you can prove it. I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, I'm countering the other way. When you
It
say
doesn't
that the
matter.
preta exists, then you also have to prove it. The other person has to
Absolutely.
prove it.
Absolutely. I am not saying it is it is true for both of us. It is not as if it is only unidirectional. You're 100% correct. Both have to prove it. The question really is that, forget that part. The part is, the question then is, what happens when you die?
You
If you
become
say,
Brahman.
one moment, if you say I become Brahman, then what happens to the dead? That is the reconciliation that you have to do. Where does the reconciliation happen? How does the reconciliation happen? So this is a question that I will ask you to reflect on and answer in the next week.
Okay, sir.
May I give little whatever little bit
Hmm.
is that
Hmm.
if I mean if I had said that then I had not made myself clear. What I had said was because there is so much of each one's perhaps definition of Atma is different,
Hmm.
perhaps shades
Hmm.
of degrees kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I called it as Jivatma. That is the body which the with which we associate that part of Atma. So Jivatma is actually it doesn't, madam. It is it the body once the body is dead, falls. Then it merges first with the Pancha Mahabhutas. From there it has come and it merges into the Panchamahabhutas. So each part of one's body goes into the, I mean, sir, you correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong because there will be lots of fill in the blanks,
No,
which I don't
actually,
know.
Lalita madam, you've gone way ahead in terms of where we want to go, because the issue here is that we are still in kindergarten. You've gone to standard 5 already. So I'm going. That's the reason I'm asking you not to take it forward there, because what happens is it will completely confuse the whole concept. Here we are trying to stay with the fundamental existentiality of Atma. What happens when we live? What happens with death? Now the physical elementation of it is the Mahabhuta, and what happens to the Manas and the other things.
Huh.
That
The,
is that is
the
a, that
Sthula
if we get
Sharira
into
goes,
if
yeah,
we get
the
into that
Sukshma
subject, then
Sharira moves on. Yeah, the
we will
Sukshma
confuse
Sharira
the
moves
whole
on.
matter. Then
Okay, okay, okay.
we will never be able to resolve. We have to resolve one problem and then go to the next problem. There is no point in bringing all the problems on the table and get
Yes, yes,
in Tamil they call it tale pichikirdu. So then we will all end up,
yes.
completely confused and not being able to resolve anything. So let's not get into
Yes.
that part.
Okay,
So
okay.
here I'm going to leave Lata madam with a question. What happens to the debt? How is the debt resolved? There was somebody who had raised a question. Please, madam, can you please? I'm sorry, I forgot your name. I just glanced at. Please ask the question. Haripriya, yes, madam. Madam, I think you're switched off your audio. No, I can't hear you. Can you please switch on and switch off the audio again? I can only see your this. No, I can't hear you now.
I'm able to hear.
Is that so? How is that possible?
Yes, I could
No,
hear
even I'm
her
not
from
able
the
to hear.
Hari Priya and all that she said.
Haripriya has left the meeting. Oh, that's
She
sad.
informed. She said she is leaving and joining back.
She is. Okay.
Hello, now can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes,
Okay,
madam.
okay. So my understanding is that the purpose why we are here is to attain or to work towards mukti or liberation.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah. So now
Moksha, mukti, all the same.
mukti. Okay. Now the thought that I want to attain mukti, even that there is that ego, there is that ahankaram, right?
Yes.
That I.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do we, if we don't even have that thought, we'll never work towards it. But how do we work around that so that we shed all that I and go beyond that?
Yes. That is why we do yoga vidya. The yoga vidya part is the one that addresses that part. So this part is the understanding of what it is. What is the problem? The problem definition is done in the Bhagavad Gita class. The solutioning is done in Yoga Vidya class.
Okay, okay. One other question is so they talk about what happens to the body, what happens to the body after death, right? In Garuda Purana, I think it's in Garuda Purana.
No,
Uh,
it's not in Garuda Purana. It is in the Dharma Shastra only. The Garuda
okay,
Purana does not tell you that.
okay. So if at all if at all that mukti or liberation happens, what happens to the all those things that is mentioned there, like what happens post death, right? So does that still hold good, or how does that vanish all of a sudden?
It does not
When
vanish. That is, agree with you. Totally agree with you. Now that is the challenge which I have given. See, what happened is one of our last classes. I hope. Have you been hearing the Bhagavad Gita class for the past two? We had two classes.
No, sir, this is my first one.
So please go through that. And there we have had a major challenge in the sense that we've been talking about this. And I request you to please go through those two classes because this is a challenge that we have thrown to Lata madam. The question really is that with there I've explained what happens when the death when we physically die, and that is the question on which Lata madam has countered. So the thing is that the question really now is, if we are unmanifest in the beginning, we are manifest in the middle, and we are unmanifest in the end, then where does the debt reside? Where does the debt or the sanchita karma or the rina or the debt, where does it reside? So we are going to have this conversation again So I request you to please go through those 2 videos, and then I want you also to contribute in the next class. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Now, yes, Lata madam.
Sorry, sir. If you're getting late, we can do this next week.
We are going to do. I'm going to close down now. We are going to go do it next week.
So, but the
And
question you asked, I was just thinking that, where does the debt go? It goes into the next birth. There, whenever we manifest
yeah,
next,
no,
it
no,
goes
no,
there.
no, 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 no. Now we are not going to get into this, because then
Yes.
this
Okay.
will go on into another big conversation. We are not going to do it now, because there is a fundamental contradiction in what you are saying. If it goes into the unmanifest, how can it have a debt? Unmanifest means there's nothing. So the definition of the Brahman, unmanifest, means what? These are the things that you need to reflect upon. So I'm going to, so next class is the one class we'll have. After that, for 2 classes, I will not be available, because I'm taking this book to my Kuldevam. And after that, I'm launching it in Mumbai. I mean, in Mysuru. Anybody who is in that part of the world, please feel free to come. I've got a small table where I'm presenting all the books, so you all can come. We can also talk. And so I'm going to close the class here, and we will continue with this subject, and we will continuously do the same thing again and again until all of us are on the same page. Okay. So thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend. Have a lovely week ahead, and I look forward to meeting you all next Saturday. Thank you.
And
Thank you,
congratulations.
sir. Thank you.